We are going to show you live pictures of Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta, one of the airports feeling these shutdown-induced cancellations in a pretty big way. Across the board at these big airports, yesterday was the worst day for weekday air traffic control staffing since the shutdown began. And today, air traffic controllers are set to miss their second full paycheck. Passengers are dealing with thousands of canceled flights and delays. Data is showing that many are now resorting to and just simply choosing to rent cars and drive to their destination rather than waiting around for the chance that their flight does take off. Others are just frustrated.
It's frustrating, and just hoping our politicians could come together and not act like children.
I didn't even get a text message to let me know that my flight was canceled. So, yeah, it's very frustrating.
And flight attendants are also among those feeling this disruption, speaking up now about the growing staffing issues that they're facing all throughout the system. Their focus, safety, number one. Joining me right now is Sara Nelson, the International President of the Association of Flight Attendants. It's good to see you again, Sara. Thanks for coming in. Air travel has been rough since the shutdown set in. There's no question. And now, add to this, the FAA is posing further restrictions today. They're going from a 4% reduction in air traffic to a 6% reduction at America's busiest airports. What is the impact going to be based on what your members, what you've already seen?
Okay, first of all, I just want to recognize our veterans and recognize that many of our air traffic controllers, many of our TSA officers, our flight attendants, pilots are all veterans, and we thank them so much for their service. They have been under incredible stress and strain on the front lines without getting a paycheck. And when that happens, that introduces incredible risk into the system. And so when there is additional risk into the system, we slow things down. Cancellations, delays, that is all a product of keeping things safe. These flight reductions, this proactive maneuver should be helpful to that. Many of the airlines have listed the flights that have already been canceled. This will help passengers look to see if their flight is canceled, to see if they can make plans around that and be proactive about that. So as much as possible, the airlines are trying to tell people in advance. And this is an action by the FAA to try to keep us safe in a moment when our air traffic controllers are really stretched to their very limits.
I think the big question now, as we see a deal making its way through Congress and the assumption, I guess you could say, that the government could soon be reopened, is how long it takes for things to get back to quote unquote normal when it comes to, well, so many things, but let's focus on air travel. How long do you think it does take?
Well, let's recognize that the air traffic controllers and other federal workers who were deemed essential have been forced to come to work without pay. That is not something that happens anywhere else, including in the private sector, even in a bankruptcy. The first day orders from the judge is to pay the workers because they understand that they can't continue the business without doing that. These are people who are incredible heroes, have been working at superhuman levels, frankly, and they have been stretched to the limit, stressed to the limit. They are going to have to get those paychecks. They're going to have to check themselves again to see how they're doing. And this doesn't just snap back immediately. We also have people who have said, I can't do this at all, and have decided to put in for early retirement. So we're going to have to staff up again. Americans need to remember that we went into this shutdown with an already massively understaffed air traffic control system, under-resourced system that we're trying to build back up again. And that is simply going to take time. I think that we will see the delays and cancellations have a ripple effect likely into the Thanksgiving holidays.
And that is a big question into the Thanksgiving holiday. And now add into this, President Trump inserting himself and sending out a message yesterday, essentially demanding that air traffic controllers return to work and putting blame on them. First and foremost, many of them are at work, we should say, and are now doing it without a second paycheck. The statement from the president, he said in part reads, all air traffic controllers must go back to work now. Anyone who doesn't will be substantially docked. And then he goes on to say that controllers that didn't take time off should possibly get a $10,000 bonus. And then says this, for those that did nothing but complain and took time off, even though everyone knew they would be paid in full shortly into the future, I am not happy with you. What is your reaction to hearing that
Well, not
from the
only
White
is
House.
this disgraceful coming from the President of the United States, not only is it disgraceful, it is another way that we are making it unsettled for these air traffic controllers who have worked through this miraculously without getting paid. It also shows that the president does not understand where Americans are living paycheck to paycheck these days and stressed to the max. It doesn't understand that people are human beings and maybe getting cancer treatments, maybe having other medical appointments, maybe having an emergency at home. These are still people, even though they acted heroically during this government shutdown. We are disgusted with those statements. They need to be rescinded. And we just want the air traffic controllers and all Americans to stand up and say thank you to them for everything that they have done for all of us. And to say that we will not in any way entertain those comments from the president. We appreciate the empathy that Secretary Duffy has expressed towards the air traffic controllers during this time. We should all be expressing empathy and thank you.
Sara Nelson, thank you very much. Sara.